Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the May 13th, 2024 Town of Lewisboro Town Board meeting. For those in the room, the exits to the building are in the front and in the rear. And if you will, please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, we'll start with first public comment. Is anyone here would like to speak? Glenn, I just got the first.
Good evening. My name's Glenn DeFaber, Cross River, New York. I woke up this morning and I saw an urgent email to look at where is it? talkofthesound.com. And lo and behold, I see a headline. $1 Million Dan, Lewisboro official approves sustainable Westchester deals while on nonprofits payroll. Written by Robert Cox, the guy that exposed the corruption in New Rochelle and Rye. And those people were unpaid. Unfortunately, Dan has been paid, and he writes, Dan Welsh routinely violated New York state law and state and local ethics law as a town board member in Lewisboro while being paid close to $1 million by Sustainable Westchester. In the most glaring example yet of corruption involving the Sustainable Westchester Community Choice Aggregation Program, Lewisboro Town Board member Dan Welsh has, for years, routinely and rather obscenely violated New York State General Municipal Law while being paid close to $1 million as program director of Westchester Power between 2016 and 2024. That's what he says. And he goes on, come back to that. But I remember when this was first proposed, 2015, I can remember sitting in the office. Dan wasn't the director. He was up at the board. I think this man was the director. And it was sold to us as protecting the seniors that were getting ripped off by NYSEC. And they were going to protect the seniors. You remember that line? Okay. So now, sounded great. Didn't sell the first time. I think the next year it sold. So then it morphed into, we're going to sell green energy. We're going to do it for the environment, sustainable. Sounds like a great idea. But this year, it's neither green, it's neither cheap, it's more expensive, and it's just as dirty as if we went to NYSEG. That said, but then you read farther in this article, talkofthesound.com. I can understand Dan doing what he's doing. He does have a mission. That's cool. But what's really, really obscene is our town attorneys that turned a blind eye to clearly what our ethics code Dan was in violation. But the opinions we got, it was all legal. There was nothing wrong. One lied and the other attorney swore to it. Now, I understand an attorney can only have one master, but I thought the master was the taxpayers and not the board, or I should say the supervisor who controls the board. I think they should be fired immediately and Dan should resign immediately. Thank you very much.
Anyone else? Robert actually, he got his report. To that.
Okay, well, I won't be quite as whatever. My name is Robert Whitaker I'm from Goldens Bridge. On Wednesday, June 5th at 7 o'clock at the Lewisboro Library, I am giving a 1-hour presentation on the current global warming and climate change. I discuss the science, the objective facts behind what's happening, why it's happening, and what we as individuals and a town can do to make a real difference. The presentation is being sponsored by the Lewisboro Sustainability Committee. I did one 5 years ago before the pandemic in towns throughout Westchester and Putnam counties, and it got very good reviews. A local climate scientist told me that despite his knowledge, he still learned a lot from the presentation. Chris Burdick and former county legislator Kitley Koval each told me it was one of the best presentations they'd ever heard. And Dan Welsh told me it was, quote, in Dan's words, right on. In the years since, I've updated the presentation and added things that we didn't know a lot about then. Things like tipping points and why NASA and NOAA and the National Academy of Sciences say this global warming is so different than prior ones. I discussed plastics, including microplastics, and finally, importantly, a list of things that we, town and individuals, can do to actually make a difference to the future of our children and grandchildren. All of you clearly know a lot about climate change, but I think the information in the presentation would still give you an even greater insight into the need for action. And given your position in the town, all of us would benefit from that. I would have waited to mention this until your next meeting, but my oldest daughter, who lives out in California, is 35 weeks pregnant with her first, and I'll be visiting her. So Wednesday, June 5th at 7 o'clock at the library for 1 hour. I hope to see you all there, and thank you very much for listening.
Thank you, Bob. Anyone else? Daniela?
Hi, good evening. Daniela Goldman from Vista. For the past 7 months, I've been coming here speaking out against Dan Welsh and his anti-Semitism. I think the only time I wasn't here in the past 7 months was when public comments were canceled and the community was censored. Not only has Dan proven himself to be an anti-Semite, he has now been proven to have defrauded the entire Westchester community with his sustainable Westchester fraud. I hope everybody's had a chance to read the article that came out today by Richard Cox. For those who haven't had a chance to read it, it was very thorough and showing the blatant fraud and cover-up that has been done for Dan Welsh by this town. Dan has financially benefited from his position on the town board in regards to sustainable Westchester for years. As noted by Mr. Cox, Dan has violated the Lewisboro Town Charter, the Lewisboro Code of Ethics, New York State law, in particular Article 18 of the General Municipal Law and other applicable laws and policies. This article proves that Dan Welsh is a violator of conflict of interest laws at the state and local level, not just once, but many times. The time to act is now. Take a stand and ask Dan Welsh to resign. The town is already going to be held accountable for the fraudulent activity that has been done in your name. At least try to make it right. I ask all of you guys tonight to say enough's enough and ask him to resign.
Hello, Jim O'Connor, AKA Jimbo from Vista, AKA the agitator from Vista, from now the defunct Lewisboro Katona Rag. I'd like to have a shout out to Robert Cox, and most importantly, a shout out to my beautiful wife Simone, who has supported me through these many years. Dan, wow, they're ganging up on you. It's a gang. It's a tag team fight. And in a way, I am sorry for you. Believe it or not, I am impressed. That old adage that I used to call you Dan the con man, that does stick. I think that you and Gordon Gecko have something in common. You both love greed. Greed is good. I believe also that the impressive thing is that you con so many people in this town to believe in you and your cause. And I saw through it, and it just spoke volumes. So I really don't blame you so much. I kind of blame the members of this town. And when they ask you to resign, I don't want you to resign, because I want people to look and see what you really are. And I want them to say, man, I screwed up. I should never have voted for this guy. I do agree that you got bad advice from your legal counsel. I do agree that who's responsible is the past board members and a current board member. With that, I think that See, the American people are losing trust in our government. And this is the reason why. So my last saying is, and the last thing I'll say, and it's probably the last time you'll hear from Jimbo from Vista. See, democracy dies in the darkness, but I kept the back porch light on. So we have a way. Thank you.
Anyone else here would like to speak?
That's what I.
Um,
In the end.
maybe at the second. Does the board agree? Because I think you can have,
Is there anybody on Zoom
Yes.
that,
so maybe we'll go through the Zoom people first and then, yeah, you don't mind. Okay. Okay. Oh, go ahead, yeah.
Mike Gordon, obviously. I continue to come up here, as do a number of folks. Oh, South Salem. South Salem, cool. I want to speak to specifically some of the Sustainable Westchester material that was referred to in an earlier testimony. In fact, we came up here and we did absolutely create the Sustainable Westchester group. That group, when we set it up, saved roughly $17 million for green energy in the first 2.5 years. Dan proposed and has had a proposal with the Public Service Commission to develop 100 megawatts specifically for low-income individuals throughout Westchester County. Public Service Commission has refused to move on that for close to 3 years. And Dan at that time was not even in the gleam of our eye as a possible employee. He's consistently recused himself on the votes, and he got legal opinions prior to that. So what we do have, in fact, right now is a Public Service Commission that is attacking in any way local authority. And it's very sad. It's to the point that that we as a company, the company that I run, are moving to Pennsylvania, Illinois, and the green energy development that we're doing is stalling here in New York, though we represent 58 communities in New York State. We are currently here in Lewisboro buying considerably more green than the grid as a whole. So that is factually inaccurate to say that it's no more green than the grid as a whole. And I think that as always, Dan has behaved quite responsibly and ethically and openly and transparently here with the board and with the public. And I have a great deal of respect for the work that Dan consistently does. I'm very disappointed that we keep hearing these personal attacks. It makes the community a more dangerous place to be, candidly. And I think that you on the board should make it clear that you will not accept personal attacks and that you will not, that we need more kindness in the political arena. And if that's what you expect, I expect that you will deliver it. And as well, we are sober enough to see when people take a political advantage of circumstances. That's it. Nothing more to say. Thank you very much.
Anyone else before we go to Zoom? Beth?
Thank you.
Hello, everyone. Beth Uretsky, Golden Bridge. I don't need to go through everything and repeat everything everyone else has said on either side. I think we've all been there. We've been here for 7 months, almost discussing the same thing. Ironically, though, today, and as you all know, the article came out. And what I find interesting are a couple of things that are either in the article or that actually, I think it's Mr. Gordon had just said. And he mentioned the word kindness. Kindness really should come into play here. Kindness should be directed towards the residents from Dan Welsh in terms of the comments that have been made on Facebook, in terms of now we're dealing with sustainability of Westchester. Let's talk about kindness. Where's the kindness towards the residents? Where's the kindness towards the residents that he has upset? He has hurt. Board members have actually even given comments to him directly. We've been here at the meeting. Where's that kindness? Where's that being addressed? We've all gone through the anti-Semitism issue. We're all exhausted from it. We thought a good compromise a couple of weeks ago, as we mentioned here, would be just take down the name of that you're a Lewisboro town board member and just have a second Facebook page. We thought that was a good compromise to make everybody, pretty much everybody happy. That obviously has not been done either. So it doesn't matter what we say. It doesn't matter what we suggest. Doesn't matter what compromise we offer. Doesn't matter, because Dan Welsh doesn't really give a damn about anybody in this community. And other than himself. He wants to stay on this town board for another couple of years, finish out the term, so he can earn another pension, besides what he will be getting from Westchester. Now the article comes out today. General Standards 18-5, no town employee shall accept other employment which will impair his independence of judgment in the exercise of official duties. Well, we know that one's failed. No town employee shall engage in any transaction as representative or agent of the town with any business entity in which he has a direct or indirect financial interest that might reasonably tend to conflict with the proper discharge of his official duties. We all know that's an issue. A town employee shall not by his conduct give reasonable basis for the impression that any person can improperly influence him or unduly enjoy his favor in the performance of his official duties, or that he is affected by the kinship, rank, position, or influence of any party or person. Well, he's proven that to be true because he doesn't give a damn about what anybody says. It says each town employee shall endeavor to pursue a course of conduct which will not raise suspicion among the public that he is likely to be engaged in acts that are in violation of his trust. Well, we know that one's true too. It doesn't pay to keep going through all these, but where's the kindness towards the residents when we're talking about this? Where is the ethics? Where is the honesty? Where was Dan Welsh when it came to removing himself, not just from abstaining for a vote, but shouldn't have been here and part of the conversations at all? I know this was years ago, but we are where we are. Now's the time to get him removed. Enough's enough.
Anyone else here would like to speak? Okay, let's go to Zoom.
Simone O'Connor, I'm asking you to unmute.
Good evening, Simone from Vista. First, I just wanted to correct Mr. Gordon. Dan did vote up until recently where he was told not to. So I just wanted to make that correction. Councilman Welsh, I read the damning article written about you and Sustainable Westchester. And my first thought was, wow. Not wow from surprise, but wow. My husband was muted, yelled at, escorted out of a meeting, and called an agitator in our now failed Lewisboro Ledger. And guess what? He had your number right from the jump, my friend. Town Supervisor Antonio, you were deputy supervisor to former Town Supervisor Parsons, whom I believe you also presented an award to, all the while helping to allow this alleged criminal behavior go on. The same way you continue to allow your former Deputy Supervisor Welsh, and still in the rotation for Deputy Supervisor Welsh, to spew his absolute hatred towards Israel and the Jewish people. Then to add insult to injury, after years of being asked to send this matter to the Ethics Committee of two men, running it since 1987, we're told it's going, but we won't know what the outcome will be. And surprise, one of the two members has in the past spoken out supporting Dan. Transparency at its finest. I think it's past time to dismantle this useless ethics committee and perhaps not ask Dan to resign, but legally dismiss Councilman Welsh from his position and ask for our current town supervisor's resignation, along with also holding our former town supervisor accountable for being complicit in this alleged criminal behavior. The time truly is now. Enough truly is enough. You have taken our money, our time. You have no respect for the community you vow to serve. And I think that we are all at the end with this. You need to be removed. I don't want you to resign. I want you thrown out. Thank you.
Thank you, Simone. Kathy Deutsch, I'm asking you to unmute.
Good evening, Kathy Deutsch, Vista. I am appalled by the article which I was given this morning regarding Dan's association with Sustainable Westchester. At a time when our citizens are struggling to trust governance, here we are in our small town feeling betrayed by our sitting board members and our town supervisor. His involvement in Sustainable Westchester clearly violates numerous ethical laws, and it is just unacceptable to have him continue on this board. We have fought for months regarding his Facebook posts, which he has refused to change his title. He has refused to reopen commenting. His arrogance towards the members of this community is astounding. We are constantly being assaulted by his inability to have any self-governance. And it is time that this board move in a decisive manner and have him removed from his position. It is clear that there is legal basis for this. And if the town board doesn't do it, I imagine the state or the county will. It is not beyond the reach of the town supervisor and the board to remove him. I ask that now, today. I want a vote brought to the table and have him removed. In addition, we do need to have social media guidelines brought into the employee handbook so that incidents like what we have suffered through for months does not continue. I do not know what to say anymore to address this breach of ethics within our very community. We are fractured and it must change. We must restore trust, and we must not allow people to remain on this board who have broken the rules. Period. It is no longer what I can get away with, I will do. We have seen what this has done to this country, and we cannot allow it to happen to this town. Please act now. Dan Welsh must be removed. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Kathy. Kevin Uretsky, I'm asking you to unmute.
Thanks, Dana. Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
All right, thank you very much. Kevin Uretsky, Golden's Bridge. To borrow a phrase from literature, this has truly been the winter of our discontent in the town of Lewisboro. I'm not going to go over, and I have no idea, quite frankly, what anybody else has said tonight, but obviously things are not going away. Things have not improved. Things have not things have continued without any significant or acceptable resolution to anyone. I will say it's time to deal with it. Couple of points. On May 1st, I sent a email to multiple members of the town board concerning the resolution that was being discussed in the House of Representatives that day, written and sponsored, by the way, by our congressman, our district's congressman, Mike Waller, regardless of what side of the aisle it is. I thought it was interesting. It came from our representative, basically putting language condemning anti-Semitism into the Civil Rights Bill. It passed the House. And what was interesting is I got no response from any member of the board. I had said, you know, this may be something you may want to look at based on what's been going on. This is interesting. I got no response from any member of the board. Not even, hey, the attachment didn't work. I couldn't read this. Nothing. With all due respect, that's unacceptable. That's an abdication of your duties, not to respond to someone in the community. A couple of months ago, and I don't know if this has been brought up already, Andrea made a motion to bring the process of the ethics board into play. We haven't been updated at all. You can't do this in secret. I'm sorry. Not acceptable. And then, of course, you know, and I'm sure it's been discussed already today, where there's smoke, there's fire. And it was a very interesting article in State of the Sound today. And I'm sorry to say this. Collectively, we are all starting to look like fools in town because of a lack of leadership. Where there's smoke, there is fire. These are multiple things, and this is not good, and it needs to be dealt with, and it needs to be dealt with now. And the final buzzer has sounded, and your time is up. With all due respect to many members of the board that I do respect, this is a collective failure at this point. And I will finish with 3 simple words. Do your job. Have a good night, everybody.
All right, thank you, Kevin. That's it.
That's it? Okay. We go back to Robert. That's the board agrees.
I don't listen to these meetings much. This is one of the first ones I've been to for a while and hearing people's comments. One of the things that has, in my 75 years, has gotten me so disappointed about the country over the last few years is the way we talk to each other, the way we treat each other, the decency or lack of decency that we show each other. There's a difference of opinion is one thing. That's what democracy is about. That's what freedom of speech. I was a lawyer. Freedom of speech is about that. It's not about the language that I've heard tonight about people sitting here. And I'm sorry, but I do think that this board has a right to let people give their opinions, but when they start talking indecently, inhumanly about other people in the room, someone needs to say, stop, we cut you off. You can't talk like that. Give us your opinion, but not that kind of language. The language I heard tonight is absolutely atrocious. And I understand if people have their opinions and they're mad and stuff, that's not an excuse for talking the way I heard language tonight. On the Zoom, in this room, I am embarrassed about this community if those people who talk that way today represent the community. That's what's shameful. So I can't change that, but we can change if you're on the board, letting people know that at least here, that language isn't allowed. I'm done, thanks.
You should be addressing the board, not turning around and addressing the public. Isn't that true? Because that was stated on something else, right?
All right, we're done with public comment.
Believe in the First Amendment, that's pretty sad.
We're done with,
Because you better put your
we're
big
done
boy
with public
pants
comments,
on.
so let's
You
move
can't
on to communications. I have a couple of things here for communications. I'll start with this is on the agenda actually, but we're gonna read a letter that we received from the Westchester Municipal Planning Federation. This was addressed to me on behalf of the Westchester Municipal Planning Federation. I'm pleased to inform you that the Lewisboro Commons project has been chosen to receive a Planning Achievement Award by the Federation in its 50th Annual Planning Awards Program. The award will be presented to the town at the Federation's annual awards dinner scheduled to be held on Thursday, May 30th at Harrison Meadows Country Club in Harrison, New York. It goes on to say we are excited to be celebrating our 50th annual awards dinner this year. We hope you and any others involved with the project who may wish to join this festive event will be present on May 30th. So this is it's actually a big deal for Lewisboro. I believe it's our first award by the Westchester Municipal Planning Federation. Kudos to everyone involved with the Lewisboro Commons project. Next I have, this was a resolution, I don't know, do you know George Roberts mentions?
I do.
You want to read the resolution?
Absolutely.
There you go. This is a resolution presenting to George Roberts, who was a former town justice. Go ahead, Andrew.
A very, very, very good man. Whereas for more than 62 years, George Roberts has exemplified unwavering commitment and excellence in his legal career as managing partner and esteemed member of Covey Roberts Carmody Roberts LLC. And whereas George Roberts has demonstrated exceptional expertise in estate planning, providing invaluable guidance to countless clients, navigating the complexities of distributing assets and securing legal guardianships, while also assisting elderly clients in obtaining long-term health care. And whereas George Roberts embarked on his illustrious legal career after obtaining a Bachelor of Arts in Political Science from Manhattan College in 1959, followed by earning a Doctor of Jurisprudence from New York University School of Law in 1962, thereby laying the foundation for his lifelong commitment to the pursuit of justice. And whereas George Roberts' commitment to public service extended beyond the courtroom as he served with distinction as a town justice for the town of Lewisboro, New York for 34 years, and contributed his expertise to the Westchester County Bar Association as an ethics committee member and chairman of the grievance committee. And whereas George Roberts' philanthropic spirit and community engagement shone brightly through his volunteer service as a firefighter for the Goldens Bridge Fire Department for over 25 years, as well as his dedication to scouting as an assistant scoutmaster for the Goldens Bridge troop affiliate of the Boy Scouts of America for more than a decade. And whereas George Roberts' remarkable legacy of service has been further recognized through accolades such as his nomination for Citizen of the Year by the Lewisboro Chamber of Commerce in 1998, and being honored as a top lawyer in Palm Beach and Martin counties by Palm Beach Illustrated. And whereas George Roberts attributes much of his success to the unwavering support and partnership of his late wife, Linda Carmody Roberts, a distinguished lawyer in her own right, be it resolved that the town board of the town of Lewisboro hereby honor and commend George Roberts for his exemplary service and steadfast commitment to justice. And be it further resolved that this resolution be spread upon the minutes of this May 13th, 2024 town board meeting for future generations to see, and that a copy be presented to George Roberts, dated at South Salem, New York on this 13th day of May, 2024.
Thank you, Andrew. So the proclamation will be awarded to George Roberts on May 19th at his retirement dinner by our town justice, John Papalardo.
Vote on it since the resolution.
Oh, yeah, we have, well, actually, you're right. We have to vote on the resolution. Yes.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
Thanks, Dan. Forgot about that pizza.
So that's at the occasion of his retirement from practice?
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah, yep. All right, and I have one more thing. This was an email received by Chief David Alfano from the New York State Division of Criminal Justice Services, Office of Program Development and Funding. Thank you for applying to the Division of Criminal Justice Services, the DCJS Law Enforcement Technology Grant Program. Today, Governor Kathy Hochul will announce that $127 million in funding is being awarded to all 378 law enforcement agencies that applied across New York State. This funding will allow your police departments and sheriff's offices to purchase new technology and equipment to modernize your operations and more effectively solve and prevent crime. Your agencies will be able to use these funds to support a variety of equipment and technology, including but not limited to license plate readers, mobile and fixed surveillance cameras, computer-aided dispatch systems, software, unmanned aerial vehicles, gunshot detection devices, and smart equipment for patrol vehicles and police officers. The chief had applied back in September for this grant to cover the cost of new police radios, upgraded police radios, as well as license plate readers for a total of $275,000. And today we were awarded that grant. So congratulations to the chief and thank you very much for pursuing this.
And Tony, we agreed that didn't we have a vote where we said if the grant wasn't received that we would use ARPA funds?
Correct.
So now we no longer need those ARPA funds.
And that's we're going to authorize, the board's going to authorize the purchase of the radios. But true, for the LPRs, the license plate readers, we will not have to use the ARPA funds. That's correct. Okay, next we have the consent agenda. I'd like to motion approval of the consent agenda, which includes minutes of April 29th, including and also the building report, monthly reports from the building department and the police department. I have a second.
Second.
Discussion? All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Okay, we had under old business discussion employee handbook, we got a significant number of bunch of feedback from the Teamsters union, so we're gonna hold off on this discussion until we have a chance to review those edits and recommendations with our council.
So should there be a motion to table?
You have a resolution on, there was a discussion item, correct?
It was a discussion item.
So unless you had an action on it, I don't think you need to move. to table.
Right, okay,
Thank you.
okay. Okay,
That includes the comments from the non-union members as well.
correct. We have, for the most part, yeah, we gathered those already.
All
Yeah,
right,
yep.
just so everyone at home understands that as well.
Right.
Is the most current version available for members of the public to look at, or can we do that?
I think we should wait until after we
Why?
vote on it.
Okay, I'm just,
Yeah. No, I would wait till, we'll get a version that's out.
okay.
Okay, new business. So we have a discussion on 59 Benedict Road regarding the building department fees. Chris O'Brien. All right, yeah, if you don't mind coming up, yeah. So the board, Chris, just FYI, I did provide you letters to each of the board members, so
Okay.
they're
Yeah, I tried
aware
to
of it.
be concise. So
Yeah, so if you can maybe just summarize, what happened, what you did, what you looked at,
Um,
et cetera.
basically, I
And
applied
just your name and Hamlet.
Christopher O'Brien at 59 Benedict Road, South Salem. I applied for a building permit for a renovation, a second floor addition. And a few weeks later, I've finally heard back from the building inspector. And the first thing he told me was that the price I estimated my project to be was, in his words, I'm not buying it, is what he said. And I tried to explain to him to my takeoffs, my material costs, where I was getting my labor from. And he ended that conversation in about 2 minutes. I never spoke to him
Well,
again.
there's a written, just to make sure I got it, there's a written document you have to submit to the building department, essentially affirming to the cost that you're putting forward, that, right?
Correct. Well, there's a form at the end of your project also. But when you first fill in your application, it's estimate your cost of project. That's it. That's the initial application. So that number he found acceptable, which was 200. He thought it should be 475, which I would never pay a general contractor that much money to do 640 square foot addition. The math works out to be about $700+ a square foot. It's very high.
And that's all inclusive, electrical, mechanical.
There isn't much plumbing because I was basically reducing a full bath down to a half bath and then putting another full bath upstairs.
Mhm.
So my plumber basically had told me it would be 1 day to rough in and then another day at the end of the project to do all the
Mhm.
fixtures. It wasn't a large plumbing. The electrical wasn't that large either. The framing was the main project, and I got a price of 42 for the frame.
Was it explained to you either verbally or in writing why there was such a significant disagreement with the figures that were?
He never called me back. I spoke to Kara only. And I tried to ask her, I said, well, if you do a project estimate, the number one thing you have to do is building materials. You have to get that number, how much it costs. They never did that. So I don't know where they came up with the 475. Because my building takeoffs were $87,000. So, and I filled out the CE form 200, which basically allows me to be the general contractor. And it says basically uncompensated friends and family. So would I have a lot of help with everything that wasn't electric, plumbing, and then HVAC, any utilities, anything requiring a licensed contractor. And I ended up, after he didn't call me back for almost a week, I ended up basically reducing my project from 200 to 15,000 just for the roof. Because
Yeah, sorry, I was gonna say Kevin, I think is on, so in case we need.
Yeah, he
questions
can-
For him, he's
can.
he's on.
Can we
But-
just let him finish?
Yeah, but I just want to clarify one point, so the estimate for which you said was about 200,000 or so.
Yeah,
And the estimate you received was 400K plus.
it wasn't an estimate. He just said
Yeah.
he's a general contractor. That's what he would charge in this area. It's an entirely different
Right.
number from being my own general contractor.
Right, okay.
Go ahead.
Go ahead,
Yeah.
go on. You left off at the $15,000
Yes,
cost of the roofing.
yes. So I basically reduced that price. And I asked Kara if I could get a refund of that money. She said that is the purview of the town board. You have to go to the town board. It's protocol. So I tried to get in the last meeting. I couldn't. You guys were very busy, so.
So just to clarify, you were gonna put a second floor extension on with a full bath. And now you're not putting a second floor addition on at
no.
all. You're just doing roofing.
I paid for the plans and everything and scrapped them. They were over $6,500.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
And you also had a conversation with the tax assessor?
I did because I wanted to see what because the building project cost now is gonna relate to my tax.
Your assessment.
Yeah, and like I said in the letter, I didn't want to price myself out of the home. So we made a decision. I just didn't hear back from him, so we made a decision just to. I think so.
Right.
So just so the record's clear, what is the gentleman asking for and what is their agreement on or not?
So, and correct me if I'm wrong, Chris, but the original permit fee was $4,152.
Yeah, as a.
That's what you paid.
Yes, I gave them a check. Yeah.
Right, and, but for the roof only project, it's $402.
Yeah, it's probably about 15 grand project. itself,
Right,
so.
right. So so you're looking
The
for a
difference.
refund of the difference between those two numbers, which is $3,750.
Yes,
Right, okay. Now, we can have Kevin speak as well, but I did
Yeah.
discuss with Kevin. The argument that from the building department perspective is that there were efforts spent on reviewing the plans. There weren't any inspections done, obviously, because nothing was built.
or permits.
Or permits, yeah. So that's something to keep in mind. Ultimately, it's up to the board, right? What we want to do, whether we want to give you what you're requesting or come up with, enough to cover the cost of the work. But maybe that's something that we can have Kevin talk to a little bit.
Here's a question.
Yeah.
Whose efforts in reviewing the plans?
It would be the building department, Kevin's efforts.
So
Yeah,
Kevin
plan review.
reviewed
Yeah,
the plans.
correct,
I mean, Kevin gets a salary. That's his job.
correct.
We didn't hire anybody outside
Right,
to review the plans.
right.
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't need to
okay,
talk to
Yeah, I
Kevin.
paid for
Okay.
stamp plans.
Yeah. Okay. I don't know if there was were there any wetlands applications or?
I was emailing her on my own. I think it's an outside vendor.
Yeah.
I use. And I sent her 2 copies of a survey, but that I would still have to send more
Right,
info, but by then it was squashed. She
Right.
was emailing me back like every 4 days.
right. But you didn't incur any expenses with our wetlands inspector?
No, there's a $50 fee. I'm sure that's.
The application of
that's not
wetlands,
refundable.
okay.
So what's the argument that it shouldn't be fully returned, the difference
We-
between the 4152 and the?
We don't have a policy for refunding in our code for refunding any fees.
So here's the thing. I really don't like any policy that makes it financially impossible for a resident not to be able to fulfill their dreams of what they want to see done with their house. And in this unfortunate circumstance, you have a gentleman who, how long have you lived in town?
Almost 12 years.
In the same house.
Yeah.
So he's waited to do this project, and then as he finally gets to the point where he can afford to do it, he gets outpriced after he starts the project. His taxes are assessed, or everyone's taxes went up, and now he can't afford to do the project. And
Taxes
so,
were 50% increase.
yeah.
They
50%
would have
increase.
gone up.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean, so he's basically priced out of putting what sounds to be not that big second floor extension on his house. And now he can't do it, so he's fixing the roof.
Mhm.
And I understand Kevin did some work, but it's Kevin's job to do that work, and so I don't see that we need to keep a fee for
Right.
Kevin's work, and I think that we should refund him the difference between what it was gonna cost him and how much it's actually costing him.
What is
Okay.
the building, since you've spoken with Kevin, what's the building inspector's argument that we should retain any fee?
No, he said it's up to the board, but if we are looking to refund, his recommendation was refund what it would have cost to do inspections. Or refund, the credit should be what he overpaid above what the inspection costs would be, time and effort.
But he didn't.
That he could have
he
been.
didn't know the rate.
But he needs a
Drawing review.
Correct, that's why I'm saying that's the,
Drawing review,
I'm sorry?
above the drawing review, not the
Correct,
inspection.
right,
But I mean,
which would be the inspections. Anything above the plan
Oh,
reviews of the
okay, what
inspections.
was
yeah.
left,
Yeah.
okay.
I mean, I'm in agreement that I think if, you know, in this particular situation, we should have some sort of, something in our code, and I don't know what other
It
municipalities.
seems to be a gray area because I lowered that project cost.
Yeah,
I do understand, but,
yeah.
you know, there was no more steps after that.
Mhm, mhm.
Permit,
Right.
no, you know, certificate of occupancy or anything.
Yeah,
Right.
Lewisboro has the policy of collecting all of the fees up front.
No,
It's not something that you pay as you go.
no, you pay, you pay 10%. Chris, you probably would know better than I, but I think there's a portion you pay up front and then you true up at the end.
No, for the permits?
Yeah,
It's all upfront.
it's all up front, but then there is a true up at the end when you do the
If,
final.
but if you go over, so
Yeah.
if I was to go over, I have to swear to that and I have to
Right.
pay that difference.
Right,
He has to
Yeah.
pay it all up front.
okay,
Well, I don't see this as setting some kind of dangerous precedent
Precedent,
because
yeah.
this is.
It's a very unique circumstance.
Yeah, so I'm not too concerned.
I move
Let's-
we refund the difference.
okay.
Put an amount on that. Just so.
What's the difference?
$3,750.
I move that we refund the difference of $3,750.
Second,
I just have a discussion.
Discussion.
One question. Is there anything in the form that has to, and you touched on, we're making a representation that $200,000 for the cost, for the cost estimate?
No, there's just list your estimate of the project.
Right, but you're filling out a document, you're submitting it
Yes,
based upon what your good faith estimate of what the cost is
Yes.
gonna be. So does that mean that the building inspector could just summarily disregard if somebody puts a good faith estimate on a form? Is the form under, you have to affirm it or anything, or you could? I don't know how that process. works.
Yeah, I know,
That might be something that we should look at as
Yeah,
well,
okay.
in addition to,
but on the current facts, I think it's clear what we should
Yeah,
do.
okay,
yeah.
yeah.
so it's moved and seconded. Have we finished discussion?
Discussion?
Yes.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
thank you all
Thanks.
very much.
Roll call.
Roll call.
Roll call?
Aye.
Mary Shaw, aye.
Tony, aye.
Andrea Rendo, aye.
Dan Welsh, aye.
Thank you all.
Thanks, Chris. Okay,
Good night, Mr. O'Brien.
next we have approving the purchase of police radars from Recent Communications Limited totaling $168,022.04. So this relates to what I read earlier about the grant that was received by our chief.
So
Well, let me just make it clear that the amount that we're going to be spending is actually $128,000 from the, we actually have a $40,000 donation that had been provided. So what we would be spending is $128,022. But the purchase would be for $168,000.
And Eastern is a state bidless vendor.
Correct. That's
Because of the
that's a good
amount.
point. Yeah, it is on
Okay.
the state
They're on state bid.
contract.
So the net expenditure is significantly less than the price.
Right.
based upon the district.
How much of this is covered by the grant? None? Or is this something completely different?
All of it is covered by the
All of it.
grant.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because we had voted that we would use ARPA funds if the grant didn't come
Thank
through.
you.
That was for the
And-
OPR.
Well,
Oh,
both.
well, we didn't
No.
vote on the police radar. We were gonna do that tonight. as to
Okay.
whether or not
Thank
it's gonna
you
be
for the
from the
clarity,
general
but yeah.
fund or the ARPA.
Okay.
But now we don't need
So
to.
we don't need to,
Well, we do need to, in order to avoid the price increase that's gonna take place in a couple of weeks, if we don't get the money within the next couple of weeks, we're gonna have to spend this money from the general fund.
Because there's a cost increase or.
Right, well,
Correct.
that's fine.
So,
Okay.
yeah,
That's fine.
so moved.
Second,
Roll call?
Please. Please. Aye.
Rich.
Mary Shaw, I.
Tony, aye.
Andrea Rendo, I.
Dan Welsh, aye.
Okay, thank you all. Next, we have, this is a resolution approving the supervisor to sign a contract with Catalyst Tax. This is the software that's used, it's part of the billing system used for the Oak Ridge Water District. And it is for $2,700 per year. And it is budgeted.
Who's budgeted for who?
It's under the Oak Ridge Water District. $2,700.
And that's for the
So
recurring
someone needs to-
software fees.
Right, that's the utility billing software that's used to collect meter readings and generate utility bills.
So I'll move that we enter into the contract with Catalyst Tax and CAMA and authorize supervisor to sign the contract.
And then second,
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
you can't vote.
Oh.
Right.
All right, very good.
Can, but I mean, if you don't need to, you shouldn't.
Okay. So I'm saying. So next we have, it's another resolution approving the supervisor to sign the agreement with Helpsy for textile collection. Bob Pittman, would you like to talk to us about Helpsy? Sure. I sent the board, it's in the agenda packet, I sent the description around, but just for our folks at home.
Sure, give a little bit of a background. So I'm a member of the Sustainability Committee. So I have sort of general interest in sustainability issues. I was actually introduced to Helpsy when after my mother passed away some years back. We cleared out our house and found Helpsy based in White Plains on Ferris Avenue at the time. And they were extremely helpful. So that's my personal direct experience with them. I was into their facility and they did a fabulous job of sorting materials. Helpsy is a company that is a certified B Corporation, which is a very high level ethical standard. There are very few companies in the scheme of things that have that certification. It requires full disclosure, ethical treatment of employees, full transparency, as I mentioned, and generally very high environmental mission and ratings. They collect textiles. They collect actually more than just textiles. They would be able to pick up from our homes and from bins that we would have here in town. We currently have one bin from an organization called Us Again, or I should say two bins in our recycling center, one location. And we know that we can do better. They're rather limited in what they do collect. Helpsy will collect all sorts of clothing, footwear in pairs, accessories of all sorts, hats, bags, belts, gloves, things like that. Jewelry, in fact. They will collect linens as well, and luggage and stuffed animals and all sorts of things that other organizations don't take. They compensate the municipality at the rate of $40 per ton for materials collected. So there's no cost to the town. In fact, there's revenue generated coming back to the town, and that revenue, I believe, is at a higher rate than we're currently getting from the Us Again team. So we get more opportunities. They will also assist in clothing drives, and they will do curbside pickup at people's homes as well. So there are many ways that we can participate. We can get Helpsy to help us increase our recycling within the community. So they did a presentation to the Sustainability Committee. There were lots of great questions asked and answered. And the committee has recommended that that the town board move forward with this and adopt HelpSee as our textile and accessories, et cetera, clothing recycling partner.
So what do they do with it, Bob, after they?
So much of the material is resold and it's sold to thrift stores and places that can use this and so this is all part of their B Corp disclosure, is how those materials that are collected are then put to good use or either donated or sold to places that can use them and get them to people who really need them at very low cost.
So is that competing
Goodwill.
or getting in the way with, say, over by me in Golden's Bridge, you could put stuff, I don't even know if they still have those bins where you could put stuff into bins that they collected and or say one of the community organizations that collects stuff, say.
So it's not in conflict. In fact, the Community Center of Northern Westchester, when they take materials in, what they can use and then resell or donate in the community, they do. And what they can't actually, HelpSee will take, and materials that are not saleable or not in any way have any dollar value on a market, if you will. Those are then taken and perhaps shredded and given to organizations that will recycle the textile itself into other uses, such as, say, building insulation, as an example.
So they're being supportive of what the community center is trying to do.
Yes, yes. So it's in partnership with that. There is one HelpSee bin in town in Vista right now at the service station, gasoline service station over there. But this affords us the opportunity to put more bins out in the town, encourage more recycling, and as a result, also bring in more revenue to the town at $40 a ton.
Thank you.
Do we have an agreement, an extended agreement with the previous company, or is it already lapsed and we would just have them come and pick up their bins and start fresh with HelpSee?
My understanding is that there's no ongoing.
Yeah, I think you're right.
It's just been sort of as and when they pick up.
And so we would start this test drive with HelpSee in the recycling center.
We can start it in the recycling center. We can add more bins anywhere in the town. The more places we have, the more convenient it is for people to drop their clothing. In concept, we're thinking certainly the recycling center here. There's no reason it has to be inside the recycling center. It could be outside, adjacent to where the food scraps are. And we can add collection bins over at Onatrue next to the food scrap recycling, as an example, or over Fox Valley.
To talk to Parks and Rec Advisory Council.
Oh, yeah, they've actually been, Nicole's been part of the presentations.
I know that the Advisory Council, since I was on it, voted against having collection bins in the parks a while ago. I don't know if they voted to accept this or not, but I would prefer to start small. And
Sure, makes sense.
And then we would have to notify the other company to come and retrieve the bins, right?
Correct. Exactly right.
Yes. Are there any other comparable or neighboring communities who have a contract to see what the revenue stream has been? With them?
Yeah, in fact, Westchester County has signed on with them, and they're doing drives all around the county. And the city of White Plains has also been working with them.
In Putnam County.
Putnam County as well.
Yep.
I think for Westchester County, they're part of that, the home material recovery that they do, like at FDR Park.
That's right.
That's HelpSee, right?
Yes, exactly right.
Okay. So, can I have a motion?
So move. I'll move.
Second.
Discussion? All in favor?
So that's clearly just starting in the recycling.
Correct.
Yeah.
Right.
It's 1 year term, quarterly payments on 60 days.
Okay, so next we have.
Thank you,
um,
Bob.
Thank you, Bob. Thank you. So the Westchester Municipal Planning Federation, again, this is the annual awards dinner to the town of Lewisboro. Typically, all the the recipient municipalities will typically have a table. And just to give you an example here, so other planning achievement award winners include Village of Croton-on-Hudson, in addition to town of Lewisboro, City of Yonkers, Town Village of Harrison. And also the City of Yonkers, there are 2 projects there. So we're one of 5 awards being given out under the Planning Achievement Award category. So the motion here would be to approve attendance at the awards dinner at a cost of $125 per person. And we'll be looking at 6 or 7 people attending. So not to exceed $875. So that I'll go ahead and make the motion. So I'd like to motion that we approve not to exceed $175 for town of Lewisboro to attend the award ceremony with the Westchester Municipal Planning Federation.
Who's the people you're looking at?
So it'll be myself, it'll be our planning chair, our planning secretary. It would be John Baillardi, Waldo Walter, and Jan Johannesson of Code Sessions. And Judd is waiting on his feedback, but he his company may be going separately as a separate group. They may have their own table.
Why are we picking up Benardi's and Jan's ticket?
Because they were the people that were part of the project that worked with us to get this project implemented in Lewisboro.
Not that I'm looking to go, but I was on the planning board for a few years.
Would you like to go? I can.
No, I don't know. No, thank you though.
Okay.
It's a nice reward.
Yeah. Typically, these are, when I spoke to the folks there, they said typically it's the folks, you know, your planner, your planning board chair, anyone that's involved in the actual project from a town perspective.
Will someone in this group be making a presentation on it or?
Not that I'm aware of. I think you just go up and receive the award and say a few words. Right.
Well,
they actually asked for a write-up about the project, so I put that together.
Mhm.
Which I think I had distributed to the board. If not, I will. Then part of the in order to they nominated us, but I had to fill out a form and provide a project description in order to finalize the award.
Well, it's always painful to spend money, but this is a unique thing for us at first, and I think we can't not show up.
No, I don't think that would look good.
No,
but
so
yeah.
I'm fine with it.
So that was a second? That was a
second.
That was
Yeah.
a second discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Andrea?
As much as I really appreciate them giving us an award, I just can't see spending that much money per person to go to a dinner when we're really honorees. So I'm gonna be a no.
I bet a second motion just for the town. I'm fine with the planning chair, supervisor, and the secretary. Or planning board secretary.
Yeah, I mean, that's my motion, right?
But no, the additional, I mean.
No, what was the additional?
Tony's asking for the town to pay for 6 or 7 attendees.
Correct.
I'm saying just the town people, it's, you know, town employees, that's fine. That's decent compliment. So yourself and.
So that's the motion I have, but so you're no vote.
As
Sorry,
formed, yeah.
Okay, Mary?
It's a lot of money for a ticket or for a table. But
I'm gonna make a second motion.
Oh, there's still a motion.
It's still a motion on the table.
I will, I will vote no.
I'll make a modified motion for yourself and the planning board secretary, right?
And
Kirsten.
Planning board chair and secretary.
Yeah, for those three, I'll make a motion to pay for those three.
That's all we got, then I'll
If that's it, then I'll,
look at that one too.
okay. I'm a yes on that.
I'll vote yes.
Okay,
Aye.
compromise, yes.
Yeah, that's yes.
Don't have to exceed 375.
Correct. That's great for the person.
Thank you for doing the math.
Welcome.
Okay, next we have a resolution approving the application of Majid Enterprises for peddler's license for the South Salem Fire Department Parade. Go ahead.
So move.
Second,
Discussion, all in favor? Aye.
Can I ask the board to consider an add-on? I sent an email at noon time because the folks at the NYSERDA folks are telling me that we need a letter of commitment to submit this application.
Wait, hold on a second. This is a separate conversation.
You just voted for that, the vendor. I'm going to abstain from that.
okay.
So, say again?
I'm-
Vendor?
It-
Oh,
Yes,
the
resolution.
resolution that we just passed. Oh,
Yeah, I'm.
oh, you're abstaining. Okay, got it. Okay. Go ahead. Yeah.
Sorry, yeah, so I was advised that as part of the application package, which is primarily a big spreadsheet with the two different items that we're asking for to use the funds for. There is a commitment letter. The commitment letter is a letter from the supervisor, which just says, we're submitting this grant application for the use. It's a one paragraph thing. They gave me a sample. And so modifying that sample, the language, we would have something like, Town of Lewisboro will use this funding towards an electric vehicle for our building inspector and an electric commercial riding or for our facilities maintenance. These will replace old inefficient gas burning models, reducing the use of fossil fuel and associated greenhouse gas emissions while lowering maintenance costs. The building inspector currently drives an old hand-me-down car from an apartment, and our facilities people will welcome the improvement in the working environment that the mower will bring. So that would be the note that goes in with the application.
So this is the application that we approved at the last town board meeting.
Right, but we need this and you need to sign it, so. And in fact, I don't know if it needs a resolution, but.
Yes, I mean,
there you go.
things sounds like there's no financial cost, so
There's
it's incidental to the application that we've approved. I think.
Okay, yeah, I just wanted everybody to know if there's no.
Okay.
Just
need
touching
to-
base with our council, Greg.
You already approved it in the last meeting, so this is kind of a ministerial part of the approval.
And we get
Right.
points for this? Is this one of those projects that we get points?
Supposed to, yes.
Yes,
I'm not
And the
particularly
vehicle
fond of
just-
add-ons, but.
So everyone's aware that it's the 2024 Chevy Equinox. Electric vehicle.
right,
For the building
that
department.
was, there was a little bit of kind of good news in the sense that I'm reviewing the incentives that we could apply in addition to the grant funds. We should be eligible for the IRA direct pay refund of $7,500. So that combined with the fact that the Chevy Bolt is apparently off the market, at least temporarily, moved me to say, well, let's get something a little slightly more substantial. The Equinox is kind of a small SUV type thing. And it's the Office of General Services purchasing list has it at $35,000. Sort of another 2,000 for, whatever post MSRP, like prep and all that kind of stuff. So between that and the quote we got for the mower, right now it looks like the delta that we might have to come up with is like less than $2,000. So yeah, just around what we talked about before.
And we'll find out about this grant when?
After submitting it, it's gonna take some weeks, but I asked them, there was also a question on the application, about like when to put it to use. They said you count on maybe by September or October, so. I mean, we should hear in, within a month or something, I think.
Okay. Thanks for that, Dan.
Sure.
Okay, next we have the second public comment for new business only. Anybody here would like to speak? For new business only? For the new business that's on the agenda, to be clear.
It's for Juneteenth.
Oh.
Yeah.
Something new.
That's, yeah.
Hello, everyone. I'm Letitia Stapleton from Golden's Bridge. And I'm calling, so used to calling. I'm asking for donations for Juneteenth celebration that we're having on June 8th. And I'm hoping that you all can come out and enjoy one another. We have so much fun. I guarantee you will have fun. I guarantee it. I guaranteed it last year. And so I'm hoping that we can get donations so we can continue this journey with you all.
Well, how did any checks supposed to be made out?
Made out to Mary,
The town of Lewisboro.
town of Lewisboro.
Memo section.
Juneteenth. We would like to thank the Vicky Tono family for their donation.
Yes. Oh, yes. I would like to thank Jason and Mikhail for their donations. June 8th at the town park. From 12 to 4. From 12 to 4.
So check's the only way to make the donation available.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Great, thank you.
Please come and enjoy this Juneteenth celebration with us all.
Be there. Okay. Okay, on Zoom.
Simone O'Connor, I'm asking you to unmute.
Hi, I tried to get this in on public comment 1 where we were allowing people to speak 2 times, but I didn't quite get called on like one of the residents. And here's what I have to say about that. Either there's a rule for everyone or a rule for no one. That resident went up there and literally said he doesn't even listen to the meetings and asked people to come and listen to him. How utterly obnoxious. And yet he was allowed to tell us all off for speaking. I cannot understand how this goes on time and time again. Make a rule and let's follow it for everyone. You want me to talk about new business? I love that the chief got money for our town. We're very lucky to have the chief. Very unlucky at watching how business is run here. I am not happy with what goes on meeting after meeting after meeting. So either treat everyone the same, even if you think they might not say something nice. No one cursed, no one yelled, no one said anything horrible. There was no reason for that man to come up there and admonish everyone on Zoom and in the room. We're not children. We can say what we want. It's our right. So I would like to ask going forward, either wipe out all the rules or follow them. And again, shout out to Chief Alfano. We are very, very lucky to have him. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Simone. Michael Hirsch, I'm asking you to unmute.
Thank you very much. First of all, I just wanted to say that the Juneteenth celebration is a great event and everybody should really attend it. It's really something special. It's done in an excellent way. I did want to echo Simone's comments that rules apply to everybody, no matter what your position is. And the silence about breaking of rules is pretty sad. and we should all be ashamed of that. Clearly, from tonight's meeting, this board has actual serious work to do that helps residents of this community and shouldn't be distracted by the nonsense by other individuals. So I appreciate your time. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Michael. That's it.
That's it. Okay. Okay, announcements. So the next town board. Oh, shoot, yeah, sorry. Approval of, so I'd like to motion approval of claims, discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Should have done it before. Oh, actually, no, it's polling on the board. Okay. Rich, go ahead.
Just a belated happy Mother's Day to all the moms out there. Hope it was a great day for everyone. May is Jewish American Heritage Month. And just saw something in here. The Library of Congress, National Archives and Records Administration, National Endowment for the Humanities, National Gallery of Art, National Park Service, and United States Holocaust Memorial Museum all join in paying tribute to the generations of Jewish Americans who helped form the fabric of American history, culture, and society. Wanted to make everybody aware of that. This Sunday, I'm going to be at the town park for Jessica's event.
Where?
Yeah,
Where?
thanks for the and that goes from, I think, 2 to 6 o'clock on Sunday. So I'm going to be grilling as soon as I get the propane stuff from Tony. So it's going to be a great community event. Hopefully people can get out and support that this Sunday. My last item I want to bring up is referable to the Sustainable Westchester Agreement, and I've been studying it for the part of the weekend. So first of all, I want to reference as a December 31, 2023 legal opinion from Harris Beach, who would discuss issues referable to City of New Rochelle. So it's new information. Time's up.
Time's up.
And in the page 3 of the letter, it says, under the Public Officers Law, public officials are prohibited from engaging in conduct that constitutes a conflict of interest in the discharge of their official duties. New York State ethics opinions have expanded this to include a prohibition where there's even an appearance of a conflict of interest. Thus, Public Officers Law, Section 74 addresses not only actual conflicts of interest, but also conduct that gives the impression that a conflict exists. The law is intended to restore the public's trust and confidence in government through the prevention of favoritism, undue influence, corruption, and abuses of official position. That's New York State Ethics Commission Advisory Opinion number 93-16. That's from the Harris Beach letter. In looking at the last agreement that we signed in town, it was stated June 29, 2023, the electric service agreement, and it was executed by the parties July 18, July 21, and July 25, 2023, respectively. And in looking at that agreement, there's a few provisions that I wanted to reference. Paragraph 2.3 of that agreement, which is a lengthy agreement, talks about compliance with laws, and the competitive supplier specifically represents that it has exercised due diligence to review and has fully complied with all relevant regulations, requirements, and orders of the FERC, NYISO, and PSC. Paragraph 5.9 of the same agreement, entitled Compliance with Laws, says the parties shall promptly and fully comply with all existing and future governmental rules of all governmental authorities having jurisdiction over the activities covered by this ESA. Within this agreement, there's also a program manager fee. It's a paragraph 7.2. It says competitive supplier shall pay program manager 1.75 cents for each kilowatt hour delivered, invoiced, and paid for by the participating customers during the term.
I think it's 0.175.
0.00175.
Right.
Yeah,
so it's-
1 3/4.
it's
Sorry, point, yes, I stand correct, I'm sorry, 0.00175. for each kilowatt hour. Yes. Thank you for that correction. And the agreement has a termination provision within Article 4.2 thereof. Where it could be terminated any time upon written notice predicated upon certain conditions. And based upon what I read and looked at, this goes back to when I raised an issue when I first after I got elected, going back to April 26, 2021, as far as potential conflict, and based upon what I've read recently from this attorney's legal opinion in late 2023, as well as news and other information and other reports and other communications from other municipalities. I'm going to, as Daniela was talking about, try to make it right. I'm going to make a motion to rescind this June 29, 2023 electric service agreement. I don't know if anyone else is going to join me, but that's my motion.
I'll second.
Discussion? The problem I have with that is that you have folks that are locked in at a fixed rate. And so if you have folks that are paying less than what NYSEG or which would be the default supplier charges, you'd be hurting those individuals.
Well, actually,
So if anything, I would wait till the contract is up for renewal, which is, I think, in October, November.
November 30th.
November 30th.
well, in responding,
review it.
yeah, in responding to that specific point that you're making, Tony, this agreement is talking about whether it's the 50%, 100% between either 11 and change or 12 cents per kilowatt hour. And I know in my personal Verde contract expired, and I mentioned this in public polling before, my expense has been between 5 and 6 with NYSEG. I've been watching each month. So it was actually, by moving it to NYSEG and watching each month, was actually a significant reduction in my personal experience, and speaking to nobody else's aside from mine.
Right. Yeah, I don't feel we should jump to that conclusion at this point in time without having more data surrounding that, because the implications to, like I said, I mean, when NYSEG prices jumped 2 winters ago to 20 cents a kilowatt hour, I was fielding many calls. I actually had a lot of senior citizens come in here, show me right on the table, show me their bills and wanting me to help them figure out what was going on. And they were actually asking to switch over to a different provider. And of course, the only one that I had the option of talking about was the one that we had at the time with for the Westchester Power Program.
Well, in actuality, if this motion carries, as I understand it, it's just literally taking away the default. Anybody would have the opportunity to try and go with NYSEG or Sustainable Westchester or anyone else that they choose to in their electrical supplier consumer work. So if everybody decided that Sustainable Westchester worked for them, then by all means, they should exercise that freedom of choice to do so because it works for their personal situation.
Yeah, senior citizens wouldn't be doing that. So the ones that have locked into the fixed rate, they're not going to be doing the research to find That's my experience. That's just based on
Well,
conversations I've had with folks.
well, your senior citizens, since our major presidential candidates are both senior citizens, presuming that they could probably work it out.
Yeah, I would not do it at
And
this
I-
point, so I'm
or
gonna.
If you
this
sent
point.
sent a letter to all of our senior citizens who had issues, I'm sure we could get Mr. Whitaker to come in and give an explanation as to how they can find another company to work with. I'm done with this. People have grown up enough. They don't need somebody telling them what's best for them and leaving it to them to opt out. People should want to opt in, not opt out. I have a problem with this from the beginning. I said it, I voted no for this. Sorry, Dan, I voted no for this. I got another phone call just recently, which was resolved. Someone wanted to know why it was that their rates were what they were, and I told them what to do, and they were able to call the company and get themselves opted out. But I voted no to begin with. I agree, we should just get rid of the contract.
Mary, do you have anything to say? Or
I'm
still
waiting
discussion?
to be convinced that we should continue with the contract.
Should, yeah,
I am very frustrated with all of the headlines, with all of the complaining, with. It feels like talking in circles.
has council verified that language in the contract about terminating?
There are termination provisions in the contract. They are in there. But you have a motion in a second, so just call for a vote one way or the other.
Right.
Done with the discussion.
So, but I want to hear, is there a good, other than those senior citizens you want to protect, is there any other reason to keep the contract?
Well, you probably would want somebody that's got that data to present. I mean, I know they presented recently at Westchester Municipal Officials Association. Maybe we could have that same presentation done here before we make a decision. So that's what I would recommend, is having someone, so they can present the data that you're looking for, Mary. I mean, again, in my opinion, we've had this since 2017, I believe it was, prior town boards approved it. And now to just
Well,
suddenly.
I grew up with my mother telling me just because other people do it doesn't make it right. Would you jump off the cliff if your
No,
friends
but
were
I'm.
doing it? But
Right.
my preference is to make a decision based on evidence rather than emotion.
Right.
And if that means I abstain and we get the evidence with the next board meeting, then I will do that. But I think, we should be level-headed and do the right thing for the town. All of the time.
And I'm in agreement with getting the evidence. I mean, that's why we've been, again, going back to doing it since 2017, we've always been presented with the evidence. So now,
We've been presented with a presentation.
right,
It's different than.
A presentation,
with
a presentation brought here by someone who reports, as I understand it, to Dan.
So maybe we get a presentation by someone who is above Dan, or.
Well,
in the
if it's above Dan, I mean, you're
I don't know.
going down a slippery slope here. Above Dan is
Is there?
former
any-
Mayor
Is
Bramson.
there any other source? Is there a source of information that is objective rather than having a vested interest in what's presented?
Right, well,
You can-
like I said,
maybe-
anybody can do there, like I said before, it's freedom of choice. Anybody, the same way they can go for, any supermarket they want and do their own due diligence as far as works. And what I said, if any consumer of electricity who's watching their costs determine that sustainable Westchester is the best option environmentally, cost-wise, and every otherwise, then by all means, they should sign up for Sustainable Westchester, but it should be those individuals' choice. And the premise of what you're saying, Tony, is that seniors, you referenced the seniors, are either don't know or incapable of being able to make an informed decision. As I said earlier, our major presidential candidates or potential are both seniors as you define the term. So
But neither one of them live in Lewisboro, but.
they don't, but the
Back
premise
to-
is seniors living in Lewisboro or wherever else, so.
Mhm.
That's kind of, doesn't make the argument to me, but that's my personal.
And by the way, I think we have to keep in mind that even that when the way, in my understanding, the way Sustainable Westchester works is that when you're not paying for your electricity to come from a green source. You're paying into a company that we get credits. And that's not the same thing. It's not like, they can change the wires and send green energy through the wires as opposed to energy that's coming from NYSEG. It's a whole different kind of concept. And the way I look at it is that, people make a choice to eat organic or not eat organic. And organic arguably is much better and healthier for you. But it's also more expensive. And for those people who choose to spend a little bit more money so that they can eat organic, God bless, but not everybody can afford it. Not everybody wants to. And they should be able to choose what they want to choose. So we're all adults who live in homes. We're all residents of Lewisboro. And if we choose not to go with NYSEG, that's our choice. And if it's not our priority, that we just by default go with NYSEG because we can't be bothered to look for another company, that's our choice too. Doesn't mean the option isn't available. It just means that we're not automatically opted into it.
And it also avoids having to get into the weeds about whether there's any other issues associated with it. Gives us a clean slate and people can make whatever determination is best for them.
So how does this, how would this impact that grant application, Dan, that we're applying for? Because that's, the CAG is part of CAC, I should say. CCA, I'm sure.
Yeah, I would imagine we would have to withdraw that. We could work our way back up to it maybe at some point, but.
I mean, another option is, we have, to Mary's question about the data. Maybe we can get through the Westchester municipal officials. I mean, there are 29 municipalities that are part of this.
And a couple of which who have voted to rescind their agreements recently.
Which ones?
New Rochelle and Rye.
So do we get, data from them possibly, or?
It's not even a matter.
Just to clarify, New Rochelle rescinded and then re-upped, like in the same motion, so.
So they're still
Yeah.
part of the program.
Yeah. I'm not sure about Rye. What's a newer thing? Just complete that piece of information.
Right. And also, as an additional benefit of this, if we rescind the agreement, there is no current conflict because it can't be. Again, I'm not putting in my lawyer hat on, but my town board position hat on, that's how I would see it.
Yeah, and I again, I'm not a lawyer, but we've had opinions in the past, and now we're reacting to an article that hasn't been.
No, I told you, you heard my comment.
Yeah, but again, I'm not
not
a lawyer, so I don't know what that case is, but I'm not familiar with it.
That's not the first article.
This is a separate opinion based upon recent information. And in actuality, if you look at the.
So we're actually polling on the board. So is this a new business item that we're?
No, we have a
going out
motion
of
in that,
sequence?
yeah, we have a motion in a second,
Okay.
that's what we have in discussion, that's what we have. So you can,
It's new business item, then are you back to public comment again?
No.
It's a new business item.
No.
Okay.
Well, personally, I'll be a no vote because I'm not comfortable making a decision right now without understanding the particulars behind it and taking a little look at the agreement myself and have council take a look at it as well.
Well, I heard from council that we can make the motion based upon the provisions. That's what I heard. So we have a motion in a second, so. Chips forward, amen.
Yeah.
Any further discussion, then we should take a vote.
Roll call. Roll call.
Aye.
Aye.
I'm a no.
Aye.
Same.
Motion carries.
Okay.
No,
Three, one, one.
What abstain?
so then. Do we have to make a separate motion to direct anyone in particular to send the appropriate notification to Sustainable Westchester to?
I think you rescinded the contract. I don't think you need to make a motion of that, the board actions. The vendor should be notified of the work as a result of the vote.
Are you done with your plan?
Yes, thank you.
Mary, would you like to say anything?
I would respectfully ask Dan to set up a second Facebook account that is private, where he can shut down comment, and a public one as town council member, where he has to receive all public comment from his fellow citizens and constituents. Happy Mother's Day to all the fellow mothers and mother figures in our lives. Even though you may not have children, you are doing great work in raising our future. I want to do the right thing for all of Lewisboro. I would respectfully request that when people are commenting, to try and be polite and consider the impact of how they communicate what they're communicating. And that's all I have.
Okay, Andrew.
Well, first I attended along with Mary, Vista Firehouse had their pasta dinner on Saturday night.
Thank you.
You're welcome. It was very nice. If you've never gone before, make it a point to go next year. Thank you, Vista Fire Department.
There will be a fall festival. You're more than welcome to join us. It'll be in October.
Yes, happy Mother's Day to everyone. Third thing, I completely agree with Simone Petronis-Locano tonight. Rules are rules, they need to be followed. And the reason why everyone gets one shot at public comment during public comment session is one of the reasons is to prevent that back and forth debate. And then one person gets a chance to say something and the other person doesn't get a chance to respond when they've been personally attacked or their comments and personally attacked. I agree. You say your word, you sit down, that's it. Sorry, so yes, Simone, I agree with you on that. You know, Mr. Whitaker got up and said that there needs to be kindness in the political arena. And that comments tonight attacking Dan apparently make it more dangerous in our community. Dan, I apologize, but I'm just tired of this. It's exhausting. It's exhausting to sit here and have to listen to this again and again and again. And we've asked you kindly to stop and you won't stop. Now, I think a part of it is that you feel that what you're posting is educational and you feel this obligation based on what you've researched and what you've believed the facts to be to educate others so that they better understand the situation over in Gaza. But I think that the comments that you continue to make do more harm than good. I think that there's more hate and disrespect that come out of your comments than education, and it's harming the community. And I just, please stop. There's those we should totally consider adding more stringent social media guidelines to our policy for all of our employees. I personally have always had a separate councilwoman page as opposed to my private page. I have people that follow me on both. And I think that when I swore to do this job, that part of that responsibility takes priority over what my own personal political views are outside of this town. And as a result, I choose not to post things that I might otherwise post if I was not a public official. And I do so out of respect for my community and my fellow residents and the members of this board so that they don't have to deal with people coming in and yelling at me when they don't agree. So I think that's where I am. I also would like to make a motion that this particular subject matter of the latest article, and I had mentioned this in another meeting, that Dan's relationship with Sustainable Westchester and the role the Sustainable Westchester has played in this town past several years needs to be also referred to our ethics committee, especially in light of these new things. I don't believe that I have the ability to ask Dan to resign. I don't believe that the town has the ability to take a vote and throw him off the board. He's an elected official. So, you know, although many of you keep calling for that, that's not something that I feel that we have the power to do. So I'm making a motion based on what it is that we do have the power to do, which is to refer this matter to the ethics committee, along with the first matter that was also referred to the ethics committee.
Second.
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
I'm sorry, anything else?
Can I add just one thing? Congratulations to everybody having weddings, first communions and graduations.
Actually, I do have one other thing. If I could get my phone to open, that would be good. I'm having technical difficulties. So, opened. Just on the rare event. Just to be more specific, because I don't want to miss this opportunity because I am a sponsor of the event. So Sunday, May 19th, they are going to have a professional juggler. He's the first ringmaster with autism at the Big Apple Surface. You can learn to juggle. There's going to be pony rides. There's going to be trucks for the kids, like Touch a Truck. They're going to be a magic show, and the Harlem Wizards will be there. There will be food provided by our Lions Club. And the money is all going to RARE, and basically this lovely woman who lives in town raises money for rare childhood diseases, of which you will meet her son, who everyone adores, and she does this every year. And we are all there, and it's at the town park, and I ask you all to attend. She'll have a silent auction. There'll be lots of entertainment. It's a great family event, and it's for a good cause.
Okay, so, yeah, happy, oh, sorry, go ahead, Danny, I'll let, yeah.
Just
Right.
mention
Yeah.
the like school event that was spectacular, and have to compliment Yes, Victoria for organizing it. School enthusiastically embraced it, and the kids were all excited. It looks like they may do it as a regular thing. So that was fun. That's it.
Okay. So let's see. Yeah, the rare event, looking forward to that, although I'm not going to be here, but I'm going to hand over my duties to Rich. So look forward to that. That's a great event. Agree on the civility at meetings. I think we should all be kind, especially reminding me of this month being Mental Health Month. So we're 2 weeks into it. So I think it's a good thing for us to all be kind to each other. And the in terms of the public comment, yes, when Robert stepped up, I looked to the board to see, is that okay? Because we have the option as a board to alter our rules if the board agrees. It was suggested, let's have them wait until after Zoom, which is fine. And we allowed Simone in. We didn't I didn't consult with the board, but she did speak as well. But yes, we will need to tighten the reins on that a little bit more. In terms of the Sustainable Westchester, yeah, I referenced a presentation that was provided at the last, not the last Westchester Municipal Officials meeting, but the one before. And in terms of the data that was presented, it's pretty convincing of how that program contributes to the decarbonization, which is something that we're all trying to strive for. I think the majority of people are. So after looking through that presentation, yes, I had been on the fence about, okay, is it really working? But the data was presented. I felt comfortable with the fact that I've been enrolled in it for several years, and my rates have been consistent, even when NICEAG was at 20 cents a kilowatt hour, and I was still paying, 9 cents or 8 cents. So it's I think we're missing that part of it, right? Which I think is part of the reason why you have it as an opt-out program. And so, yeah, maybe in the future we can have that same presentation done here, because it was different than the ones that we've seen in the past. So that may be something we want to, provide back to the board in case we decide to do it, or maybe do it with a different model, right? An opt-out model, or the other way around, opt-in model. Looking forward to Juneteenth. I think I'm in town then, so yeah, I'll be there. I'll do my best. I haven't missed one yet. And I think that's all. Oh, yeah, just regarding the social media, we do have that social media as a section in the new handbook. It was provided by the third-party consultant that we rely on to bring our employee handbook up to date. So there is some new language there with regards to social media. And I think that is all I have. Oh, looking forward to the next meeting, which I'll announce, but it is a work session on the zoning amendments related to the comprehensive plan. So I'd like to have as many people come to that as possible. That's on May 28th. And I think that's all I have. Okay, next announcements. So the next town board meeting is a town board work session. It is here Tuesday, May 28th at 7:30 p.m. here at the Townhouse, 11 Main Street, South Salem. I would now like to motion to go into executive session to discuss some personnel items. So I have a second.
Yeah, sorry.
Discussion. All in favor?